The Heart's Journey Show with Vicki Haspels.
Hey everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. My name is Vicki Haspels and my website is vickihaspels.com. Tonight's show is pre-recorded and this is Matilda. The reason it is pre-recorded is because I am doing a little bit of dog sitting for the beautiful Matilda. Here she is. She's a little bit camera shy, but she's such a sweetheart. And so tonight we'll be looking at, as usual, the Mythic Tarot. And coming up after that is an interview with Jess Beard. The Inner Alchemist.org is her Facebook page. And we are talking about the tools and things that we put into place when we're feeling a bit emotionally wonky, and what are our go-to things that we use. And they're not always the things that we tell our clients. Sometimes they're very personal to us, and I had a really good chat to Jess about that. But yeah, please stay tuned to the end, and Matilda and I will be back, and we will be chatting about just to wind up little puppy stuff and things like that. But please, I will be following you in the comments. I'll be adding things in. I'll be able to follow tonight's broadcast. I'll be talking to you. I'll pop a few readings in if you like as well. So pop in and say hi. And yeah, I hope you enjoy.
The weekly tarot for week commencing 16th of November 2020.
Hello and welcome. My name is Vicki Haspels and we are starting off tonight's broadcast, tonight's show of the Heart's Journey Guide Show with, as usual, the weekly forecast. We are going to look at, using the Mythic Tarot deck, what energy is affecting you, affecting me, and what we are going to look forward to and how we are going to traverse that energy this week and how it's going to be affecting us and what our responses will be, and at the end, the spiritual meaning behind it all. So let's dive in. As usual, as I said, I use the Mythic Tarot deck. Shuffled the deck. I'm going to choose now 6 cards randomly. That's how I choose my cards. This, as you can see on the ticker, is also posted on my YouTube channel every, sometimes Sunday, sometimes Monday, and it's also called Vicki Haspels Heart Journey Guide. So let's begin. First of all, we are going to look at what energy is affecting us this week. So I'm looking at it at the same time as you are, so let's have a look. Card number 1. Oh, we've got this card here. So that's a get up and go. Let's get up and go card. The energy around that is more defined than it would be if it was the page. So we are having very much, yes, I need to get this done now. Now, we might not have all the information, but we definitely want to get that done. So that idea has popped in and that inspiration is there, and we are so ready to get that moving that we are just going to get up and do it, even if we haven't planned it. The night energy is very much like that teenager. Let's jump into it and let's do it. Now let's have a look and see what universal energy is prompting us. What is our soul pushing us forward to experience this week? The reason why we're having that happen. Oh, we have the sun. So it's pretty much the universal energy or our soul energy that's around us at the moment is saying, it is time to get things done. It is now time. Your goals, your inspiration, your ideas are quite valid, and it's giving us, oh, let me just put it around the right way. It's giving us the motivation and the energy that we need to actually put that into place. This one, oh, sorry, this one here is still very much, get that around the right way. Sorry, guys. This one's very much still no planning. However, a lot of enthusiasm and love, yes, because the idea is clear. This is saying, the universe is telling us the idea is ready to burst, it's ready to put into action, and it's quite clear. So if you've got a project that's ready to start, you know it's so right and so ready to do, you have now the power and the energy around you to actually push that and move that forward. The night energy, even if you might not have a plan, it's enough to get you experimenting with it anyway to see, is this going to work? Is that going to work? So it's a really good week for experimenting with things because you're in that mode that it's not going to bother you too much if it doesn't work, and it's hooray if it does. Okay, now let's have a look at what challenges and what blocks might be around us this week. What's going to be? Oh, we've got this card here. So I'm thinking this is coming from the mind more than anything else, is that we don't think that there is a market there or that there is a place for our idea out there. We are telling ourselves that, no, not really sure. There's already 10 other people doing it or 100 other people doing it. Oh, should I do that? Should I do that? That's all that this card is here. So if you're sort of faced with that block or that sort of a bit of a hurdle in your thinking that says, oh, I've got this great idea, I know it's going to be great, but 100 other people are doing it, it doesn't matter. Because what's really happening, and this is coming from Vicki to you, is that you are adding your energy to that idea. You are adding your energy to that project or that inspiration and moving it forward. And when you do that, when you add your own energy, you create something unique. It doesn't matter if 100 other people are doing it already. It doesn't matter, because the people that are going to be inspired by it, are going to use it, are going to love it, are the ones that are going to have a rapport with your energy, that resonate with your vibration. So just do it. Okay, let's have a look now. What is our response? How are we going to behave? Oh my goodness. Now, the next part of my show is going to be talking about this. We are going to be really challenged. Now, as much as I said to you, we are going to have experimental. We're going to want to experiment. We're going to do it anyway. Our response is, oh, I don't know if this is going to help. I don't know if it's going to work. We are heading into the unknown. So we are really having to face our fear of we are not good enough or it's not going to happen. So our response is we are going to do it anyway. We are not going to let that voice push us down. We are not going to let that lying part of our mind saying, you can't do this, it's not going to work. We're not going to listen. We're just going to say, you know what? Because you know what, guys? This card here and this card here are telling us, are reminding us, actually the energy around us is saying, it is time to get going. It is time to do it. So that part of you that's been holding you back is just going to, it will just be shut down. The Eight of Cups energy is just going to shut it down, and you're just going to be, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you're just going to, much like when I get on a roller coaster, I shut my eyes like, I know I'm going to have fun loving this, but I'm going to do it. I'm so scared. We are just going to surrender to the process. And that's what the Eight of Cups energy is about. Our response is not a pleasant card. And as you can see, it's quite dark and looks a bit sad. But it's not a pleasant card. I'm not going to pretty it up for you and tell you, oh, it's going to be wonderful. But you will be facing that part of you that tries to shut you down all the time. And you're going to say, you know what? I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I actually want to do this. I'm going to override that, and I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to step into the unknown regardless. All right, what is our future going to be? Fingers crossed it's going to be great. Look at this card here. I love it, I love it, I love it. So the future means that we become the queen of that idea. Here it is, we got that teenager energy, we got to get up and go on that experimental idea. Now we're saying, you know what? I've done this, I know it. It's confidence, it is that like confidence in ourselves, confidence in our idea, and we would have overcome that hurdle that the Eight of Cups put in our way that says, and the Two of Pentacles put in our way saying, oh, everyone's doing it, I'm going to do this anyway. Oh, shut my eyes. We're going to learn, and we're going to see in real time that our ideas actually work and that they are valid, and we are going to be so proud of ourselves, and we will have a voice, and we will have a way forward. And it's just that's such an exciting card. I love it. I love it. I love it. We're just going to get over that that says, can't really do that. Okay. So what does that spiritually mean for us? This is really interesting. I love it. Okay. So spiritually, we are learning to not get caught up in all those things outside of us that keep pulling us back and forth and prevent us from moving forward. We are going to sit in the middle of all that rubbish that sits in our head, that all that old stuff, old patterns of behavior, old scripts that run through our head all the time. We are busting through with that. So our spiritual selves is not a very comfortable space to be in, but our soul, our spirit must sit in it and to decide that it's not how we want to move forward. And we're going to bust out of, look how he's sort of, see how it's sort of caught in between that. We're going to bust out of that. We're going to bust out of that way of thinking. Bust out of that thinking that we have to fix the whole world or look after the whole world or take notice of all these other things that have nothing to do with us at all, and stop feeling guilty that we're not taking care of all the things. We are busting through our rescuer person. We are busting busting through that part of us that said we must fix everything before we can move forward. You know what? That's now a fallacy, because, you know, we are all queens. Doesn't matter whether you're male or female, we are all queens. We are the queens of our domain, and we know, and we're moving forward. And we're going to, and that feminine energy is, again, that creative spark, that creative mood. It's all of us. So please, if you are feeling that, please take heart. Even if you're thinking, oh, I can't do this, you are going to push through that. You are going to override that negative thinking and that old patterns of thinking, the old script, old whatever, and bust through, and your soul is going to be free from the cage of the Eight of Swords, and no longer will you feel responsible for all that other stuff that's around you. Anyway, I'm going to leave that with you. Have a great week. Please stay tuned. Coming up is my interview with Jess Beard, and she works with I keep wanting to say alchemist. Her Facebook page is inneralchemist.org, and she works with archetypes. So she marries the heart and the logical mind together to access that greater, like that global or mass consciousness that we can all tap into, that we can all resonate with each other on that same level, that we can all understand, because it makes so much sense. Please stay tuned. In a few seconds, you'll see Jess and I in conversation about what methods we use and what things we do to overcome those blocks and those little moments where we think we can't really do this and we can't move forward. What we do in our personal lives to actually override those things and those little messages that try and prevent us from leaping forward and being inspired. Anyway, please stay tuned. And next up, as I said, is Jess Beard. So thank you.
Okay, welcome, Jess. This is Jess Beard, and tonight we are talking about how, as practitioners, we look after ourselves when it comes to the funky energy that's around us, or if we even have our own emotional hiccups and things like that, because, you know, as practitioners, we experience those things just as much as everybody else does, and we all have our own little things in our toolkit. And so Jess is you can find her on Facebook at inneralchemist.org, and Jess works with your archetypes. So I just taken it straight out of my head, Jess. Yeah, so Jess works with your archetypes. So Jess, just quickly introduce to my audience what it is that you do and how you work with alchemists,
Archetypes.
Archetypes. That's got alchemist stuck on the brain. Yes, let us know how you work with archetypes.
Perfect. So I do readings with one specific archetype deck, which is really powerful. It's Kim Cran's The Wild Unknown. But I also I do either one-on-one sessions, or I'm just about to move into some group coaching, and it's all about people's sabotaging patterns and re-language them archetypally. So it's when someone says to me they have self-worth issues, well, what archetype is actually causing that? And you delve into that, and it's very logical. You kind of really go, aha, and then there's other archetypes that you can call in, which are going to like help you actually break that pattern. So it's my passion is helping people with those self-sabotaging patterns, because I had like so many, it was not funny. And it's many, many years of work breaking them all down and healing them one by one, so that I am the person here today. So yeah.
So what you're doing is you're balancing the logic and the creative brain, so they work together equally. Is that right?
It is, and archetypes are a primordial language. Carl Jung is the grandfather of all teachings of archetypes, and he explains how they're in the global unconscious. So if you go to someone in France and you say, describe a mother to me, and then you go to someone in America, describe a mother to me, someone in the Amazon forest who doesn't speak English, describe a mother to me, they're going to tell you the similar characteristics. In any of them, a thief, go to someone in England, describe the characteristics of a thief. Go to someone in South Africa, what are the characteristics of a thief? So these are archetypes in play in our field, which speak to us like in our hearts and in our minds. Your minds get it, but you actually feel it in the body because it's part of the global collective. So,
yeah. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. And I do like marrying the creative and the logic mind together, and archetypes are amazing, and they actually tie in with the tarot as well. A lot of the tarot uses archetype language and symbology as well. Cool. So because we're talking about energy today, I thought that I might bring this subject up in conversation with you, Jess, because I myself had probably the last couple of weeks very emotional roller coaster ride, and when that happens to me, I still when I'm working with my clients, I still must manage that because I experience those emotions and those ups and downs. Like doing psychic work or doing healing work doesn't exclude me from that human experience, and I'm just wanting to know, like, what sort of like you mentioned before we came online that you actually were having that type of week as well, or those type of experiences just recently as well.
I've had a very interesting week, and I think astrologically, the energy is a bit sticky with all the planets. Some are going direct, and this one's doing that one, and then in the global unconscious, like with beautiful America, we're actually standing on two timelines where one way we can go one way and another way we can. So there's an uncertainty, and there's fear and there's confusion. And no matter which way and what happens in America, you're going to have some people who are devastated and you're going to have some people who are relieved. And we're all connected and we're all tapping into that. Yeah. So when I had my, I put together this offer and I was really excited and I thought it sounded fantastic, and I sent it out and I had not one interest, not one bite of the cherry. So I actually went into, and I could have in that moment gone into child and victim, like, woe is me, I tried so hard, and like I was so confident and I was in such a place of power about it. So I had all these expectations, and it's really quite funny because I was just energetically struggling. I was just like, I really, really wanted to drop into my child and victim. So one of the techniques that I use is I'm very drawn to water. So either walk on a beach, paddle my feet, even staring at a lake or a dam. But one of the most powerful tools that I use is to just have a bath or even a shower if you can't. I put in my essential oils depending on what I need. I'll put crystals in there. If I've been out shopping and I feel like I've been drained by something, I'll put salt in the bath, depending on what I ensured I need. And then I get in the bath and I look up at the ceiling, and I'm looking up at the heavens, and I'm like, all right, guys, you got to show me what the hell's going on right now, because this is not me and this is not making sense. And as you said, like, you can't be of service if you can't kind of get yourself back to being center, but we're all human as well, you know. So I get in there and I use the element of water to really get me back to a place of balance. And sometimes I don't leave there for like 5 hours, or if I have to, if it's a really big emotional trauma. In most instances it's just a couple of hours.
And so this is a regular practice that you do, to place yourself in water or to be at the beach? Like, how often would you say that you need to do that?
A couple of times a week. And I also use it for creative purposes. So it's evolved over time as being a way that I can connect to my higher self and the divine. So some of my most creative ideas are done in there, and I'll be jotting down stuff, or I'll tape it on my mobile. But it's also such a source of comfort. So if I am thrown off balance, then I'll go in and I will you know, what's going on, show me. And I'll start going through my emotions of the actions, you know, and because I see things archetypally, I'll look at which archetypes. But anyone can do this. They can get in the water and they're like, okay, so what was I feeling when this happened? You know, and my feelings were, you know, I felt so disappointed. I had been so confident that this was all going to manifest. And I also tapped into the energies of it, and it just really felt like there was a blockage. And so the next day, I actually kind of realized that by being so certain and having such an expectation, I'd actually kind of energetically choked the situation. And I say I'd take a cup, and I you know, I'm like, this is how I'm going to receive from the universe. I'm going to get this response. And what I ended up actually doing is putting my hand over the cup and saying to the universe, like, you're going to do it my way. And I wasn't open to receiving. You know what I mean? So that was my epiphany. I'm just going, okay, so, you know, I'm trying to control instead of just trusting that, you know, I will have the outcome that I wanted. So that's little Miss Aries trying to control things. This is how you're going to give me what I want, guys. And instead of going, I'm really open to receiving. So it was really interesting.
So can I ask you, Jess, how did you discover that this technique was going to work for you? How did you know? How did it evolve for you?
I really, it's been over years. So I was doing it before I actually understood to work with it consciously. So my greatest advice to anyone that's watching this is to really listen to your body. I felt so relieved when I would get in the bath. So even as a child, I would put rose petals in if I wanted to have a lush bath. Sometimes I'd get clay or any of these different things, and I've always been drawn to water, but I've never put the two together, that I could actually use the water to process things emotionally, energetically. I was just drawn to it. And quite often, like, I'll say to my clients that you teach what you know, and sometimes your superpower is actually the thing that you have no idea is something that's powerful. You know, it's a thing you take for granted.
Yeah, I agree. I think that using the body as the I like that wonderful book, and I can't remember the name of the author, but the body is the barometer of the soul. And as much as a lot of my clients, they go into their head and say, I'm trying to listen to my wisdom or my soul. I'm trying to listen to my guides. And it's really just about teaching you to be aware of your body. There's the very subtle signals that it's giving you, and it will tell you exactly the way to go or when to stop. And I was just, as you were saying that, I'll share my experience for this week as well. Like I said, the last couple of weeks is that I have a number of tools that I help my clients use. I say, well, you know, I can try this tool and this tool, because I know that they've worked over the years for me, and I know when I tune into what their requirements are, it's this and this. And when I was having a sort of a couple of wobbly moments and really couldn't get my equilibrium back, I just thought, I've got to do this and this, because these are the things. But there was something that was not quite I could just feel it, like something inside of me pushing up against it. But my mind was like, no, well, these are the things, right? These are the things that I do. This is what, you know, walk your talk, all that sort of. And then when I sat in a quiet moment, which is because it got to that point, and that's my superpower, is to sit in meditation and just to let things be and let the information just wander up. I'll listen to my body. I'll get it nice and calm, probably much like you do when you're in the bath. You're in that space, and deep down, this little voice, and it was something about, you know, the clearing and the opening up that was always my practice back in the 90s and when I first started, that, you know, that you use the shower to clear off the energy, and you put the bubble of light around you, and we did that always very consciously, and that sort of started to come in, that was a thing, and I just kept dismissing it simply because it was such a subtle message, and it sounded and resounded so true with me that my mind just kept overriding. No, it's got to be like this, this, and this. And I thought to myself, and that's when I heard my body go. I could feel it sort of stressed up, or it tensed up, and I thought, hang on, I'm missing the point here. So I went back, and then I remembered when that part of me that was saying about the clearing and the bubbling up and you putting the light around, I actually relaxed so much into it that I thought it was such a subtle message and a subtle relaxing that I thought, oh, Vicki, that's the way, that's the message.
Yeah.
Go back to that little bit of practice. And the reason that I hadn't been doing it on a regular basis lately is because I'd refined that practice so much that all I had to do was think of it, and it was part of my opening and closing when I do readings. The energy was right there, much like a little affirmation. I didn't need to do the whole ritual, but for whatever reason, I am, and for a lot of my work and practice is being brought back to those old ways that I was taught way back in the 90s when things were opening up for me. It's almost like bringing back those tried and true methods, like with coming full circle from where, like we, and then instigating the new stuff, the new age things that came in, and then coming full circle, and perhaps integrating some of those things, but those old practices that work for me. And I have to say, and once that happened, then I met somebody who gave me some essential, like bush essences, and I talked to somebody about something, and then this right information came in, and I thought that calmed everything down. So it just sort of put me in that space. And yes, it's just a very timely reminder that, you know, as you say, the collective consciousness can come in and really affect us without actually knowing that can happen. Without it, it's such a micro moment or an unconscious reaction that we have to those little moments that happen without us even knowing. So, no, that's a very good point. So, Jess, having said that, what happens when you are, like, do you have any sort of practices or tactics that you use if you are in a moment, like if you have to, like, an immediate moment or a trauma moment, just like what would you call, like a first aid, just to help you get through something if you can't get to the bath?
So I try and be observant of what's going on for them, what archetypes they've got. But in that initial moment of the when I'm being triggered, is I like to take a really deep breath. And I know that sounds so simple, but I go, and I just figure, I go, what am I doing? Why am I feeling this way? And instead of going into the victim or the child, I'll become the detective, and I'll become the alchemist. I'll be like, okay. And it drops me also into sovereign, because instead of giving my power away to the trigger, I'm like, okay, I'm being triggered. And by just knowing that you're being triggered, you've already taken that first step. So, you know, being an Aries, I don't like losing my power. And it took me many years to realize that, you know, if I lose my temper, if I say something I regret, if I do any of these different things, I've actually gave my power away. If somebody triggers me and I go into it too much, and I start to go, okay, well, I'm in my child right now. I'm here, you know, and then I've actually gave my power away to either the situation that or the person itself. And I had a real moment in March with everything going on with COVID, and I just went, I'm not going to go into woe is me. I'm not going to go into this is a bad thing. I'm not going to go into fear. I'm not going to perpetuate that onto other people. I'm not going to spread anything, because I don't know what position the person who might be reading my stuff on the internet is in. If they're not in as confident position as I am, I could actually be planting such a vile seed that they, they absolutely freak out, and who knows. So
Yes.
I've had to really be, very observant of that aspect as well, and to, just don't get triggered. And I will write out the world's greatest comment, and then I say to my higher self, should I post this? And it's like, no. So I've got to delete it. And I'm just like, no. That's actually really common sense. It'll be helpful, but it's not. You're perpetuating it anyway, and you just keep coming back to asking yourself, should I do this? And you feel it in your body. You feel a yes or a no. Should I do this? Your chest opens up and it's a yes. And if should I do this? No. It's a no. And
type, yes.
Yeah. So I really feel like no matter what's going on, take that breath and ask yourself questions. Step into your detective, step into what it is. So, and when you were talking before about going back to the beginning of your journey and doing things that I've had moments like that as well. And about a decade ago, somebody said, write down 5 things which brings your soul joy and nourishment. And I wrote down all this stuff, and then I'd scrap them off, and they're different things. And I've got the most random list. If I go to the cinemas by myself, I'm entertained, and I don't have to entertain anyone else. And it's it's like this gift to myself. So that's on my list of 5 things. Going to a cafe, and I don't have to talk to anyone. I'm just there, and I could be doing my own thing and having a coffee. So I'm surrounded by people, but I'm not having to engage. And I know that sounds a bit random, but it's something that brings me joy. And then my bath, and then walking on the beach and walking barefoot in nature as well. I love going to like the rainforest, and I'll take my clothes off, and I'll walk through the muddy, leafy part, and my body just goes, whoa, But
you do that, and you take all of your clothes off. Did you say?
No, just sorry. I said my clothes. I'm not that bold. My shoes.
I said, oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Hey, if I was guaranteed that I wasn't going to get arrested, I would probably give it a go. That's funny.
I think I would love to try that actually. Anyway, that's for another show. No, I love that you brought up about the power of the breath, because that is just it doesn't matter what situation you are in. You have got your breath with you. You have got that moment to take. It is the tool that you carry with us. That we carry with us all the time. I have my breath with me all the time, and when I get into a bit of a challenging situation that all of a sudden I feel like I'm distracted or can't make a decision, that automatically kicks in. I just take that breath, and sometimes I might take 3 breaths. And when I'm doing that, I actually follow using my mind, follow the breath going into the body and connecting that breath with the body as well. Because as I'm doing it, I'm becoming aware of all of my body as I'm breathing in. And as it does that, my heartbeat slows down, my thinking slows down, and my body slows down. And it's in those moments, when that slow down moment, you can actually detach from the issue. And more often than not, it's not my thing to worry about, but it's something has triggered an emotional reaction. And just doing that little thing has calmed me down, at least enough so I can get to a place where I can do a little bit extra self-care as well. No, that's a really good tip and a point to bring up about the breath. It's good.
I really like what you said, because that's what you explained perfectly what goes on in the body. And it was actually I have a dear friend who's bipolar, and And so she actually changed the way that I communicate and really gifted me this whole thing, because I would take this breath and I would say, you know, is this going to trigger her? Is this going to, you know, upset her? Like, should I say this? How should I word it? You know, and so she taught me sacred listening. She taught me to take that breath so that I and actually watch what I say and say it in a way which is appropriate for the person that's in front of me. So I'm working with my intuition for who's in front of me, but I'm being more conscious of it.
Yes, and that, I think that's perfect point, Jess, is that rather than working with the instinct, we are working with the intuition in that moment, because when you are in that breath, in that moment, you get a chance to make a choice about what your next move is. Whereas if you forget to take that breath, you're just working on instinct, and more often than not, that might work out, or that may not work, and it doesn't matter either whether you do that. But you get to make a conscious choice in that moment because you're giving yourself that space to say. And it's only a microsecond sometimes, but you are consciously choosing the direction that you want to move forward in. And even if that decision is not to make a decision, and that's okay too. Yeah.
And I think that none of us actually acknowledge how much we listen to our bodies, because when we just chat away and we don't take that breath and tap into like what it is, like when you were saying how you take your breath goes down, your whole body relaxes. By taking that breath, you link your mind with your heart, and you feel in, should I say this? Should I be offended? Is this mine? Is this person just having a really bad day and I'm just not going to get offended? And you've got that congruency between your head and your heart, and it gives you that moment, because if you don't take that breath, it's just very much in your mind. And so I really liked the way you described it.
Yeah, it's like going through that from the unconscious to the conscious. And what somebody said to me one time, I don't know whether I read it or someone said it to me, was that the mind makes decisions, but the heart makes choices. And I absolutely love that, because it's in that moment when we make a choice, we are consciously working, like we are making a contract with ourselves and with that other person about how we're going to move forward. We get to choose how we move forward, rather than deciding, okay, and when you make a decision, not that a decision is a bad thing, but it can be quite concrete, not very flexible, whereas a choice has so many options around it. And I like it that it comes from the heart, but the two marry up together. Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Caroline Mice said something once which really changed things for me, because she said about speaking your truth and your throat chakra and everything being actually activated and properly aligned. Because if people think, oh, I'm going to speak my truth and I'm going to do this, and and you speak your truth, but if you're just speaking what's in your head and you haven't tapped in to see if it actually feels right, then you're actually just going, it's only one half. Whereas if you bridged, like the throat is actually the bridge in between the heart. So if you're checking in with your body and your sacred breath and going, is this actually my truth? Do I truly believe this? Am I really going to do this? Is this going to hurt somebody? You marry it between the head and the heart, and out comes the actual truth and congruent truth.
Absolutely perfect. Actually, I forgot about this. You remind me of something that a teacher of mine once taught me, was that put your head, just visualize placing your head into your heart. And that way it's putting that. And when I used to do that, and every once in a while I'll say that to my clients as well, is that you just drop the idea into the heart. Then you're marrying the two together. It's not about lifting the heart up to the head, because again, the mind can be like a very much a chatterbox and overrides. But when you're placing it in the center of your being, you are actually communicating with your wisdom and with your truth, as you say, and then it comes through here.
That's perfect,
center, isn't it? Yeah, the throat is the power center.
Yeah, and that's perfect. And one of the things I'll say to clients at times if it comes up, I'm like, does that really offend you? And they actually pause and they'll take a moment and they'll check in with their heart, their body, and they're like, no. And so sometimes the mind gets programmed into like the collective of like what Hollywood should tell you is offensive, or you've actually witnessed it in how your mum and dad get offended, or how your teacher or your best friends get offended. So you think that you should act that way. And like when I'll share something personal. When my dad passed away and I was 21, and I was at the funeral, and I was like, I actually don't know how to act. You know what I mean? Like I was almost like, and I was racking my brains going, should I act like I've seen in the movies? Should I act like I've seen other people? Like da da da. And like I actually had thoughts of that. Like I don't know what to do. How, you know, and I could have gone Hollywood kind of thing, but I just kind of just rolled with the moment. And I did no screaming. I didn't beat the ground. I didn't do anything overly dramatic. I just was deeply sad and almost frozen to my seat. But I had those moments where I'm like, I don't actually know how to act and react and what to do. And I think that's actually something that happens to us a lot. We get triggered and we're in our mind and we're like, this is how I should act, or even more powerful, this is how I used to act. This is what I used to do when I was a teenager or my 20s. And then I've started to do all this work on myself, and then take that breath. Does it really offend, or like, do you know, and it's actually like, you're like, no, I don't know when I gave that up. And I laugh with some of my friends, and I say, I really wish the universe would give me a gold star sometimes, because I don't know when I give certain things up. Like when I started doing Facebook Lives, like I went from being worried about what people will think of me, and you know, all those things, to, you know, it just disappeared. And I went, I can do that. And then I looked up and I'm just like, well, guys, when did I give that up? You know, and so sometimes you've just got to ask your questions and check in with your body and check and go, oh yeah, you know, I can do that, or that doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, and when you are checking in with your body and things feel uncomfortable and you still keep pushing ahead, it's that very like that discomfort continually brings you back into the sense of the body. And also too, I believe that whenever we have an illness or a chronic physical problem, that when it flares up, it forces us or reminds us, it actually brings us back into ourselves, because we have nothing else for anything external. And it's like that. In its way, it is a fantastic gift, or a fantastic tool that we can use. It brings us back to our physical self, back to our intuition. And we will wind up. I just wanted to bring, because I just looked at the time with I could chat with you forever about this. But while we were talking, I wanted to share just my experience as well. When I've been working with people with meditation, regular meditation actually brings that breath moment in without you having to think, because you are doing it. When you're doing it like meditation on a regular basis, when a moment does happen, that breath will kick in automatically, because you have trained yourself, because you would have, through meditation, you connect with your body for that moment. And then when you are having a reaction to something, it automatically, because you can feel your body, you're tuned to it so strongly that it almost like it shakes you into that, I've got to take a breath, and you do it automatically. And I was reminded about that because one of my students just last meditation circle that I did on Thursday, they reminded me of when something happened in their week, because they check in, how's your week going? And they said, oh, blah, 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 this happened. And I said, oh, I've forgotten all about that, because it's such a regular thing now that I don't think twice about it. It is one of those things that regular meditation gets you in touch with your body. And then when something happens inside of your body, you don't have to think, oh, I should be taking a breath. You automatically take a breath and you automatically go into that space to make your choice, because meditation has shown you in your calm moments that that's the way to go. And your baths would have done the same thing. Do you meditate regularly, Jess? Was bath your meditation?
It's something I should do more of. I kind of have some practices which, like, I'll go out of a morning and I'll have my coffee or whatever I'm having, a tea or a juice, and I'll sit there and I call it like silent sitting, and I'll do nothing but stare at the bushes and a few things for a while and let the dog sit in the sun, and then I'll ask, so what do you guys want me to do for the day, and then tune in and work with that. And the bath is similar to that as well. So whenever I get in the bath to start off with, I'll just spend 5 or so minutes just laying there, and then I'll either ask or I'll read, or if I'm deliberately trying to clear a blockage, well then I will go into the emotions of it. So I do those which are meditative, but I need to do some more regular meditation. I think it's powerful.
I think that you do those things that you've described to me are meditation. They are regular practices that you do to connect you to your body. So actually, that's a subject for another day. I think I'm going to bring that up in another show. Actually, what does meditation mean to you? Because a lot of times we have an idea about what meditation should look like, when really we're doing it naturally anyway. So, no, that's a nice, we'll bring that round to round circle. So thank you so much, Jess, for joining me.
It's been lovely.
It's been lovely chatting. Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I could do this all day. But I'll just remind everybody to find you at inneralchemist.org. If you type that into the Facebook search thing, you'll find Jess there. Go and have a look at all the lovely things that she does. Thank you so much, Jess, for being so open and sharing such like your personal thoughts around everything. I really, really appreciate it. So very humbled by that sharing.
Thank you.
And
it's been a pleasure.
Oh, good. I will say goodbye, and we will chat again another day. That's lovely. But before we do go, Jess, when is your show on?
I do Friday nights, 8:30 New South Wales or 7:30 Queensland, every Friday night.
Every Friday night. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Jess. With love from me, I'll say goodbye and go check Jess out. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, Jess. That was lovely chatting with you. That was the first time I've met Jess, and she's such a lovely and font of everything to do with wisdom, inner wisdom, and connecting to the body and connecting to that part of us, that the mind-body, the mind-heart connection is so important, and especially the breath moment, of course, as well, so important. And it's something that each of us can do. We're no different, even though we work in this field, we're no different to everybody. That we're human, we have those experiences, and those are some of the things that we practice in order to bring back balance within ourselves. I would love to hear from you guys what you practice. Place it in the comments, let everyone know, share your thoughts, share your practices, because you never know, something that resonates with you will very much likely resonate with somebody else. So thanks again, and stay tuned, because I'll be coming back with some more goodies after this.
Okay, so thanks for joining us. It's goodbye from me and from Matilda. Don't forget, our pets are our greatest teachers. They are just the most loving, most unconditional love, most compassionate creatures. And Matilda wants to go, so I'm going to say goodbye to Matilda and pop her on the ground because she's getting a bit restless. I want to share with you that just once upon a time, when I was doing a reading for a client, that I I don't normally do animal readings, but she asked me to tune into her pet who had passed away. And oh my God, it was the most beautiful thing ever. That the animals are our teachers, and they come in at a high vibration to be here to show us how to be compassionate, how to be nurturing, and how to be better people. It doesn't matter what your pet is, they've come in here to teach you something for your soul's journey. Anyway, it's been great tonight. Please comment, please continue the conversation about things that you use to help you get over those emotional wonky moments and bring you back into balance. Join me next week. I will be back here at the same time, 7:30 Queensland time, or Australian Eastern Standard Time, or 8:30 Australian Daylight Saving Time for the Heart's Journey show. And I'll have another guest, and we'll be talking about something different. And as usual, it's been wonderful. Thanks again to Jess, and I will see you next Sunday. With love from me to you. Mwah. Have a great week, everybody.